Can you guys hear me? Please confirm in the chat. Srinivas or anyone? Okay, perfect. Let's wait for one more minute. We'll start. Yeah, I guess we can start the session. So once again, welcome to the new Linux Administrator batch. And today is a demo session. Yeah, and this is the support email. So let me copy this. So if you have any query related to technical or like payment or anything, you can drop an email to this mail ID. Someone from the team will acknowledge and will, resolve the issue. And if it is a technical one, they will connect it with me, and I will try my level best to resolve your query. Okay, so that's a support mail, and we'll come back to this banner later. And the general information is, so the first three sessions will be a free demo sessions, means like including today's session. So there are two more sessions like tomorrow and day after. You can attend it for free. And from the fourth session, the Zoom link itself will be changed to a new one. And that is only for the paid candidates, okay, or the registered persons. They will receive that through the email. And the first two sessions recording will be uploaded to the YouTube channel. And the channel link is this one. Yeah, so even today's session will be uploaded here. So you can go through that. And you can even check, just search for Logic Labs Linux in the search. You can get a lot of previous batches recordings like this. Okay, so yeah, you just can go through my way of training, and it will be purely practical based. But the recordings you'll see theory part, since the first two sessions only we are seeing, right? So that's obviously theory. The rest of the sessions will be practical. So that's the thing. Yeah, and we will share. Yeah, so the WhatsApp community link. So if you're obviously mostly everyone will be part of it already. If not, just go to this link. So anything related to our course, it will be uploaded here, like not the notes. Notes will be uploaded to the portal, rather like my availability or if the session is cancelled, right? So like that, it will be uploaded, sorry, it will be updated over here. Okay, so just click on join. And if you are clicking this link via uh, your mobile, it will automatically redirect to a WhatsApp channel. So we officially have only WhatsApp group. So please try to join at least our batch. Okay. So and the sessions recording will be available in the LMS of Graphy. So that is our portal. So the same logiclabstech.com. So please do bookmark this web page. Okay. So, oh, oh. Let me not log in, but you just need to create an account, and yeah, so you can enroll via here, and you will see the, like in my case it is not showing since it is the landing page, but in your case you'll be seeing a my courses over here. There will be a section, so just click on that, and you can see the recordings, notes, everything over there. Okay. So yeah. And the support team, right? So the mail ID support at Great Logic Labs Tech, or you can even contact via this numbers. So they will be available only from Monday to Saturday, the working hours, like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. IST. Okay, again, it is IST. So yeah. So these are all the social media links, all are there. So you can go through that later. And yeah, let's start the demo. Once again, today is a demo session. Okay. So a little bit about myself. So Karthik here. So I'll be your instructor for this course. And I done my RHCSA certification like 3 to 4 years now. So yeah, it's done. And we're currently working as a platform engineer in one of the MNC company. And currently handling almost 9,800 servers. Or yeah, including VM, it will be more than that. But yeah, so in our company, we handle those many servers. And obviously, many companies are having much more than this, but still, there is a wide variety of servers, like a physical server, virtual, right? So yeah, like that. And yeah, so let's move on to the actual demo. So firstly, since many people joined, so do you guys have an idea about Linux, or you're already a veteran and trying to revamp your knowledge? Can someone put it in the chat? Let's see. Or you're very new to Linux? Because we will go from the scratch, from the basics only we'll cover. From what is Linux? That's the very first question everyone must ask. And yeah, okay, it is a revamp for you. So Saddam already knows it. That's great. How about uh, Shahid, Srinivas, Shekhar, Arya? Anyone is already experienced, and our course basically is revolves around the certification. Again, it's not only purely certificate focused. It will revolve around it because our course is tailored for the certificate. Okay, so why specifically RHCSA? That also will let me explain. So yeah, that's great, Srinivas. You're a backup admin. Okay, your DB Abhijit is new. That's great. Awesome. Okay, so that's fine. Anyhow, let's go from the basic because even let's say you're placed as a Linux admin in a company, in case of let's say Abhijit, who's new to Linux. So they or the company, let's say your seniors, won't have the patience to cover from the basics, right? So, and they don't, we can't blame them also. They don't have time to explain every nuances of Linux, right? So that's the reason you're looking outside and you are you must know that, right? So because the basics are the, especially in Linux, it is a necessity nowadays, even for a developer, because the servers or sorry, in terms of developer, let's say you're pulling a Docker container, and Docker is a CLI. Okay, so what is CLI? Let me explain in a moment, but it will use some commands, and the Docker itself underlying operating system is obviously Linux. Okay, so that's the reason it is a necessity nowadays, almost, especially in enterprise. In local machines, like even I am using a Windows machine, right? So that's what, like locally, most people will use either Mac OS or Windows. And by the way, even Mac is a Linux-based operating system. Okay, so the core is Linux. But the point I'm trying to make is in enterprise, Linux is the dominant or the monopoly one. So you must know Linux no matter what. So without that, you can't survive, especially as a DevOps guy or even as a developer, right? So, so many factors are there. So that's the scope. Actually, if you know Linux, you must know nowadays. That's the point I'm trying to make. So coming back to the question, what is Linux? Linux is just another operating system. Okay, so mostly as an end user, we use, as I mentioned, Windows or Mac. So you can use Linux as a secondary one. But if you're planning to practice or you're having your own lab setup, you can use Linux as your main operating system, right? So it's a operating system, which means everything will be there, right? So your disk management, user management, process, everything, just like Windows, and much more than that, right? So in Windows, what we will do mostly, we will see the process. And in Windows, one great thing is since it is a GUI, it is easy. So now I'm putting some uh, new terms, right? So let's expand. So does anyone have an idea about what is GUI or what is CLI? So these are all the different types of interface, right? So yeah. So how we are going to interact with the system? The GUI is graphical user interface, and CLI is command line interface. There is one more thing which is kind of underrated, which is TUI, text-based user interface. Now, what is GUI? And the best example would be the current screen which you are seeing, which is Windows, right? So how I'm interacting with this machine, it is through keyboard and my mouse, right? So I'm especially this is a mouse cursor, and I can interact with uh, all the elements or all the icons is a graphical element is there, right? So that's the thing. And this will also be loaded along with the OS. Anyhow, in Windows, there won't be a process named as GUI like that. Okay, so Windows is very keen in avoiding such thing. So mostly it will be like system or some random process under Windows processes. Many processes are there, but it won't be like right away GUI, something like that. But yeah, it must be loaded along with the OS. Whereas okay, so that's the reason Windows is very popular. It is easy to use, right? Anyone can understand. Like from the icon, it's you need not even read this calculator. From the icon itself, obviously, like 99% everyone can recognize it. It would be a calculator application. Same thing goes for camera or any applications, right? So that's the uh, a great advantage of GUI is anyone can right away understand the OS, right? And they can make use of it. And obviously, every OS has its own GUI, like Mac OS, even Linux, right? So Linux, as of now, I'll generalize it as Linux. There is a lot of flavors under it. Okay, so what is Linux flavors? Those things we'll discuss in a moment. But yeah, as of now, let me generalize it as Linux. So the next one is CLI, which is command line interface. And this one is mostly it is Linux. And even Mac, you will use this one, and even Windows. So now, why in Windows we are as of now not using a CLI? We are using GUI. So CLI is nothing but you just go to start and type CMD and press enter. So what is the screen you're seeing? It is a command prompt. And in command prompt, can I double click or let's say, can I go to any path? Just like, okay, can I double click this and go inside a directory? No, it is a CLI based interface. Means I need to type a specific command, then only I can go inside. So if I cd C tab, so now you see it automatically detects it. So only if I specify cd means change directory, then only it will change it. So just like that, I cannot double click means you see it is just selecting the uh, content, whatever it is highlighting, it is selecting it. So that's your CLI. So only if you specify that command, it will work. And now you cannot specify any command like create a directory. For us, it is a statement, but for the system, it is. like it should understand what it is, right? So there would be a command specifically for creating a directory. So you should mention that. Even same thing goes for change directory. So each and everything there is a command. Using that only you can uh, you can use it obviously. Is there any downside for this? There are downsides for both GUI and CLI, but the major downside is it is not everyone's cup of tea, right? So any like you must remember at least the basic commands. So which is good and bad at the same time, right? So you must know that. So without that, you cannot even work a basic task also you cannot work on any mission, right? So that's this CLI. And the TUI, actually, I will show an example of this once we set up the mission. Okay, so yeah, so TUI, show an example here. Let me turn on the VM. And don't worry about the lab setup and everything. So from the installation, everything we'll discuss. Okay. So, yeah, that's it should be fine. And this is a GUI, right? So there is a cursor and graphical elements like icons, everything will be loaded. And let it load. Oh, so in terminal, so here this is a CLI, right? So obviously you need to CD and yeah, CD slash, let's say. So the path is changed, right? Now NMPUI. So here you see this is not like I cannot double click. So there are both, it is like a combination of both GUI and CLI. Means there are graphical elements. You see there is a shadow and like it is selected, right? So there are like a few graphical elements are there, but you cannot double click it. You cannot simply double click add. It doesn't work. So it is a combination of both CLI and GUI. Okay, so that's your sorry, that's your TUI, text-based user interface. Okay, so these are all the different types of interface. We will come back and forth to CLI because that's the most common and why companies prefers that. Okay, so why? Because many mundane tasks, like let's say you need to create 100 users or you need to create 100 files, the same files. In Windows also it is easy, but it will take some time, right? So you need to copy and paste like 100 times, right? So rather in CLI, you will use a wildcard operator. Within one command itself, you can execute that. So, and you will do a lot of these kind of things in enterprise. So basically, that's the thing they want, right? So it will increase your productivity. And there are so many reasons for choosing Linux over Windows or any other GUI based operating system. So we'll see what are all the reasons in a moment. But yeah, that's the major thing. CLI is mostly preferred not only in Linux, all the softwares like you might have heard Docker, Kubernetes, or Jenkins, even AWS, Azure, all are having their own CLI based uh, console, right? So all like I'm just giving a basic example, like almost every DevOps based softwares everywhere, you will for sure have a CLI based option. And in company, actually, as a end user, you can use a GUI version for sure. But in companies, mostly like 80 to 90%, it is CLI only. Okay. So yeah, coming back to this one. And why Linux is still relevant in IT? Because it's not a latest software like, let's say, Docker. Docker is there for almost 10 years. Like, yeah, 12 years to be precise, right? But is Linux a very recent software like that? No, it has been around 30 years. Okay, so but why it is still relevant? Because Linux is kind of everywhere from your IoT devices, right? So like even in your smart remote, even there is a chip, and even you can create your own remote also. Let's say using Raspberry Pi and many things. Your like drones. So drone have their own chip, and nowadays there is even a drone which has its own computer in within the drone itself. So that is powered by Linux operating system. Like that, Linux is almost everywhere, and it is why? Because it is lightweight, right? So you can Linux, the base operating system size is just 5 MB even. So there is a Docker based Linux OS or image, which is just 5 MB guys. That's like insane size for a whole operating system itself, right? So that's the um, a very lightweight, right? So you cannot imagine Windows being like that lower in size. The maximum Windows can be pushed like 1 gig, right? So this is like 5 MB, which is insane, right? So that's what. And it has been around 30 years, but what it did to the IT. So basically, it revolutionized the IT industry itself. Right? So with the, as I mentioned, it is the dominating the monopoly of IT. Right? So almost every data center, anywhere, it will be there. Okay. So and like, is there any decline for that? No, it is kind of exponentially increasing only. Many companies, let's say a new startup is created, or someone is trying to hire some data, sorry, some infrastructure, they are right away going to Linux only. Okay, so it evolved to a certain extent that you cannot imagine without Linux like that. Okay, so that's the main reason it is still relevant. It is way reliable. It is too secure. Okay, so so many use cases are there that Linux is still relevant. Okay, so we'll see down the line what is the use case of it, each and everything. But as of now, that's the major thing. So now, why RHCSA? And before that, what is Red Hat? Right. So again, before going to Red Hat, what is or why there is a lot of Linux? You might have came across let's say Ubuntu. Most people might know Ubuntu, right? So Ubuntu or maybe uh, Mint, Linux Mint or Kali Linux. You might have heard these kind of terms, but you might have never worked on it, right? So what are all these? And what is this website which is kind of looking outdated UI, right? So this is called as DistroWatch. And this is a website to monitor what is the most used Linux distro or distribution. Okay, so basically Linux is an open source software. That will be uh, like it is a new term for you. So what is open source and closed source? Right? So a closed source example is your nothing but your Windows. Can I change my Windows, let's say this UI, can I change without the help of third-party software? Can I? No. So obviously using it some third-party softwares like startup apps or some third-party softwares are there to change this UI. Okay, let me even simply explain in a different way. Let's say, let me go to control panel, which everyone might have seen this thing, right? So can I disable any one of the feature here? Let's say recovery or region. Can I disable this region? No. Even though I never use, let's say, sync center, can I disable this? No, you cannot. If you obviously as a service, I can disable, but the icon itself or the entire thing itself should be removed. Can I do that? No. Why? If I removed also somehow, I removed it after a Windows update, which is very frequent, right? So it will be appearing again, right? So it will look for the missing components and it will install without your consent. Why? Because it is a closed source software. Okay, so which means Microsoft has the full control to do whatever, uh, like obviously you only installed it, but they have the full control for all the applications they own, right? So these are all the not applications, these are all features and tools, but these are all the things which they own, right? So they have the full control to modify. If you disable also, they can enable. Okay, so that's the thing. But when it comes to open source, the major thing is basically, as the name suggests, you can change the source code itself. So you can only keep whatever is needed. That's an interesting option which we never heard of, right? So let's say I don't want the default keyboard options. I want my own keyboard layout or the languages bundled with it, right? So I want to have my own, right? So like that, you can create your own UI. Even that you can do. You can infuse that into your software, right? So anything you can do to customize as per your requirement. Let's say, what is the benefit of that then? The major benefit is your performance. So, the let's say I never use gaming in this system, but still Microsoft will install Xbox. Why? Because this is an operating system which is not used one. It is not tailored only for you. Like anyone must use it, right? So that's the reason they bundle it without your consent, right? So like that OneDrive or any software you see, like even Teams they are pushing now. Even though as an end user you might have never used Teams or you won't, but still it will be installed, right? So that's the thing. You can have your own tailored operating system just for your use case, right? So that's the reason companies created their own, and there are so many companies emerged. Again, few companies you or the OS you see, it is not the latest one, okay? Especially Red Hat. Red Hat as a company, it has been around 20 plus years, and they actually aimed for enterprise. So whenever I mention enterprise, it is nothing but company based. Okay, so I might mention it a lot. It is nothing but company. So it is basically targeting the company, right? So why? Because in those days, Windows was the monopoly. Okay, so every company they had Windows servers a lot. Okay, and Mac OS was there, but way little. Okay, only Windows was the dominating one, and eh, companies need to pay lot of money to Windows. Obviously, Microsoft they charge like too much, and one developer came up with a his own version of OS, which is what yeah Linux is. And it's not like, okay, Linux is the first CLI based or the one which came out of nowhere. No, Lin before that you had Unix and Minix and so many other. Linux is a fork of Minix. You can even call it as a fork because it had few features of Minix, and this guy he came up with his own version of that kernel, which is Linux, and his name is Linus Torvalds. So he, and not only him. So you see around it is actually growing. The contributors, even now, you can also contribute to this OS if you know like these languages. If you know, you can contribute. Okay. So you see, it is around 16K developers. Since it is open source, anyone can review a code, anyone can make changes to that, right? So these many people came together and they even still they are maintaining this. And this is not the entire operating system. This is just the kernel. Okay, what is a kernel now? We will discuss that later, but as of now, it is the uh, kind of a heart of your operating system. So without kernel, your OS is just another a piece of or a bunch of files. Okay, so it's the kernel is what powers everything. Okay, from your drivers or disk management or your everything. Okay, so we will see what it does. So, but yeah, this is what he came up with, and he is the guy who created since to maintain all these people's version because they so the same guy might change the or let's say 10 people is changing one single file here. Let's say this file. So there is an issue with the version, right? So which version is the latest one? So let's say one guy is working for 10 days for with the same file, and one guy is working uh, simultaneously 2 days. So which version does the it serves in the production, right? So that's the reason he wa- he came up with again that he is not the first guy to came up with the version control, but the one which he came up with is Git. So the site which you are seeing, it is not GitHub, so it is Git. He came up with that software, right? So GitHub is it's an online or a website based repository, but Git as a software, that's a pure version control, and he is also the same guy who came up with that. So that's the reason. And coming back to distro, as I mentioned, anyone can create their own version, right? So these many companies emerged. Uh, Again, this is just a small list. Okay, so there is around 950, I guess, active operating system. Few might have discontinued. Again, it's totally depends on the community and all, but actively around 900 to 950 something in that range. Those many operating systems are there, guys, under Linux only. Okay, so it's not like some random one. So based on Linux, these many are there. Okay, so the major one is what you will see in the top, at least this top rank itself is top 100, the famous one, and Red Hat is here somewhere, right? So why Red Hat or there is like their certificate? Why I am preferring this? Why not some other certificate? You have so many, right? So CompTIA Plus, and you have LFCS and so many are there. Okay, so why only RHCSA? Red Hat certified system diagnostic. Why only RHCS? Why? Because it has the credibility, right? So it has the credibility and like like if let's say if you've done RHCSA and if you let's say posted in LinkedIn or any such website, like you might be recognized compared to other certificates. Again, I'm not blaming these certificates are very basic or something, but even this itself is an entry level certificate. But Red Hat has been there for quite some time that they have the reputation and companies actually use law. It again, they are the monopoly now, which is good actually because they have very good support system. So there is around 72 percentage companies use Red Hat, not RSS. It is Red Hat. Enterprise Linux. In short, it is called as ML. So this is the operating system companies use, and this is the operating system, the one which you are seeing, right? You see, ML. Okay, and we will be using that in our course. So you can even see that version. And don't worry about commands and what is this path. Everything we'll discuss. Okay. So you see, the version I'm using is 8.4. Okay. So like that, almost every company will have their own VMware setup will be there. It's not the same layout or same workstation. It will be a different one. VMware, vSphere, or some other version. But mostly they will use a RHEL, at least 8, because 7 is the service is discontinued, right? So 8 and 9 version is what currently they are using. They might be migrating from 7 to 9 right away. Okay? So like that. Okay. So that's the thing. And Red Hat as a site, as I mentioned, it has been there for quite some time, and they have their own set of huge list of softwares actually. Okay, so if you see their products, yeah, they have their own AI. Okay, so and then OpenShift is owned by them. Ansible, again, it's not like owned by them, but they have the major stake of Ansible software. So Ansible is for automation, configuration management software, right? So that is even Red Hat is the one, and they have their own set of platforms, and they can. Uh, there is an operating system tailored for SAP, right? So JBoss, when JBoss is owned by them, right? So if you see cloud services, like too many, each and every major fields, they are having their own set of services, right? So it's a very huge company, and that's the reason there is a credibility. And one more major reason is this is an exam which is there is no MCQ, right? So there is no multiple choice questions. Only if you know the answer, you can answer it. So let me uh, give my this. I'm just showing you the question paper, and this link will be sent to you now. Okay, so yeah, you see, you won't see any MCQ over here. Okay, so this is an network question. So let's say if you don't know how to configure this, that's it. Okay, so you cannot proceed further. So like that, there will be two servers in your exam. So in one server, you must configure network. In one server, you must reset the root password. Again, it might look like, okay, it is a basic thing, but you should reset the password without even logging into the server. Means right away, you should, before even proceeding to boot, you should do it. So how would you do that? We will discuss anyhow. But yeah, these are all the questions. Again, it's not like uh, a dump. It is like all the topics, whichever is mentioned over here, we'll discuss and we'll see the exams question as an example. Each and every section will do that. And it is an important one, guys. So let's say you're planning for the exam. So it is the right course for you because we will for sure discuss everything for the exam content. Okay. So yeah, and this is the exam score EX200 and exams fees and all we will discuss maybe in few minutes. But yeah, it's a very important one in your portfolio. Let's say you crack the exam and you mention in your LinkedIn or your resume, it adds a lot of value to your resume. Okay? Even though it is an entry level, it is kind of assuring to the interviewer that you know at least basic to intermediate level. Because let's say the knowledge which you gain, it will be around 2 to 3 years of experience for a Linux admin. So these are all the things what they do, right? So again, there is no automation, right? So many things are not there, which is fine. Okay, you will gradually learn that in your work environment. Again, this is an entry level, right? So there is a different certificate for automation. There is a specific certificate just for Ansible. Okay, so this is one of 18 certificates. So Red Hat have their own suite of certificates, like around 18 certificates are there. I'm not sure about AI. This has been recently added, but as of now, 18 is there, right? So this is the very first certificate you can do. So yeah, okay. So let's see what are all the major topics we will be covering. So the first one being the user management. And these are all the generic topics for any operating system. It's not only in Linux, you must know these. It is for entire or any software or any OS you take, you must have these. And so you will have your set of users, right? User management is there. Disk, obviously, there will be a disk management uh, software itself, right? So in Windows, that itself is called as disk management, and how to create a partition, how to assign an driver letter, right? So many things are there in Windows. It totally works in a different way, but in Linux, it's one of the crucial components as a sysadmin. Okay, so you must know this disk management. And again, user management, it is not only creating a user, removing a user, right? So you need to manage the privileges of them and what are all the softwares that particular user must have. So it is one of the crucial role for a sysadmin. Why? Because sysadmin is the only guy who can do that because he has the privilege of the admin, right, or the root user. So without that, you cannot do anything, right? So as an application team, they need not have access. There is no purpose for them if they have also. But as a sysadmin, you are the one responsible for creating users. Again, the basic tasks will be there: creation, removal, modifying, and all. But you need to give the privilege as well, right? So that's major thing. And who need to access which application. That's an uh, important thing. So you must do that in user management. It is an important one. And the disk management, as I told, in Windows or especially as an end user, the one which we are doing is like a very bad minimum one, right? So we just have a disk, maybe 2 to 3 disks like I do, right? So we will have some certain partitions, but is this partition being used by like let's say in companies like thousands of people will use the same server? Is it possible as an end user? No, you cannot even experience that. It's a maximum only your family will use your system. Even that too, mostly we won't have the separate partition just for them, right? So when it comes to an enterprise, you will be or you need to make sure that each and every file it should be protected, right? So each and every simple folder it must be protected and only certain team can access it because that's an important thing, right? So anyone can access anything means that's like an end user like us, right? So that's impossible actually. In enterprise, it will be way secure. You cannot go inside certain path, and you cannot even list the content. List at least you cannot see, but in most of the path, you cannot even list what is the content, like how many files are there. You're not supposed to do that. Okay, so that's the security feature and disk management as a sysadmin. It's an important concept you must know, and we will have like at least 2 to 3 sessions just for disk management. Okay, so yeah, and the process management. So what are all the processes or how process works? Because in even a simple thing is a process, right? So let's say this one. So even if I'm opening a software or my cursor which I'm using, right, that is a process. And that's an ongoing or a real-time process. It will be running if let's say my driver for this cursor is not working. Let me go to device manager and this, uh, yeah, this driver is not there and the process respective to this cursor is not working means still it means it doesn't work. At that time only it doesn't work. But all the time it will work, right? So your cursor or your keyboard, right? So like that, all the things which is running in a system is a process. Anything, even a small, let's say clock itself is a process. And so that's what. In Windows, it is kind of generalized, right? So it is generalized into just 44 or maybe 60 to 70 processes it will be showing. But everything is running as a process on it. Okay? And that's what, like how many processes are running, which is important, which should be prioritized, right? So everything we'll discuss in this process management. Again, an important topic. So, and what if something is not right in that process, right? So let's say that process should be completed, but it is stale, or it is not doing anything. Or in Windows terms, let's say your application is frozen and it is not responding. You'll see a not responding state. Why it is doing it, right? So that is what troubleshooting means. We need to troubleshoot uh, why it is happening, and what if it happens in the future, how to avoid it. As a sysadmin, you must have that knowledge. And trust me, lot of issues are there in any server you take, because you are not talking, sorry, we are talking in a volume of thousands of servers. Obviously, let's say if you have 10 servers itself, something will be, or some basic thing will be broken almost any servers. Again, it's a software thing. Hardware also something might be failing, right? So you should be prepared. That's the reason there will be a lot of members in a sysadmin team, because at the same time, no one knows no one can even predict when a server will go haywire, right? So that's the reason. It will be at least 15 to 20 members will be there in one team, because that, let's say your infra is that much fragile, or your infra is so huge that you need that many members to manage it. That's the obviously those many sysadmins are needed, right? So because at the same time, lot of issues might be there. Okay, so it's a very important knowledge you must have, troubleshooting. So yeah, we will discuss that. What are all the different ways, everything, and the basic networking. Again, I mentioned as basic. Why? Because networking as a subject itself is a separate course. Okay, so that's the reason. What are all the networking knowledge for a sysadmin will be covered in our course, right? So that's the reason I mentioned as basic. Okay, so let me move on. And yeah, I'll be quickly covering these. The same thing, whatever we discussed, right? So managing the user, like create, delete, modify, just manipulating the users, and like changing these are all basic things, changing password, modifying the groups. And these are all the interesting one which you might have never worked, like super users, right? So those things. And the installation part and all we will discuss tomorrow, guys. Okay. How to install, because today is the demo. So we'll see that tomorrow. And yeah. So what is a command, right? So why there is a need for a command? So those things we'll discuss obviously later. And yeah, there are essential commands which is a must. You must know that. And the advanced commands. And how many commands are there in general? It is around 2000 commands are there. Okay, so and you should not be overwhelmed, because you won't be using all the commands. No one does. Okay, it's not like uh, your company. Any company won't use like thousands of commands. There will be at least 100 to 200 commands. In our course, we'll discuss, but majorly you will use maybe 50 to 60 on day-to-day basis. So that itself is a huge one. Okay, so that's the thing. And again, the installation we'll discuss tomorrow. Performance monitoring. So what is monitoring? Like these are all the system resources. Okay, so let's say CPU, memory. So let me type it so that CPU, memory, GPU, disks, and memory. So these five are the system resources. Again, it's not just a basic system, any system. You can just categorize them in these, or you can kind of evaluate whether it is a great system config or a very basic one just by analyzing these components. Okay. And in order to monitor this, what is the solution in your Windows? It is your task management, right? And there is even resource monitor, which is giving a real-time data. So whatever you're seeing is a real-time data of my system, right? And this is one single system. Is it possible for you to monitor, like, let's say 9,000 servers? That's impossible. Like, you need to have 9,000 people to monitor. So rather of having that bad way, you have monitoring tools, right? So, and that tool will alert you. Let's say if the threshold value is 90 percentage. So if the CPU usage exceeds 90, it will, again, it's a very rare scenario in our case, but when it comes to enterprise, like, you will be running a lot of applications, right? So uh, it will be prone to that, right? So let's say if exceeds 90, it will trigger an email, or it will trigger some other notification, right? So through some messaging tool or something. So it will notify you and you can action on that. It will do that for all the servers in your infra. Okay, so that's the monitoring tool. And yeah, so we will, as part of our course, we will see at least one monitoring tool basics. Okay, so either it will be Grafana, New Relic, any one. Okay, so Dynatrace, and you have Prometheus, right? So you have log monitoring. There are certain softwares like uh, Splunk, right? So here you have Zabbix. It's a very huge list, guys. It's around 50 to 60 softwares are the major softwares, I think. Okay, but yeah, so at least one of the softwares we'll discuss, and it is an important knowledge also as a sysadmin. You must know at least one monitoring tool, how it works, and you even have IPRS uh, genuines, right? So like that, it's a huge list. Okay, so each company prefers their own, but at least if you know one software, you know the alerting system and the SLA breach. So many things are there. Okay, so yeah. So the next one is the basic OS concepts. Like again, the bare minimum you must know, right? So in Windows, what we will do, we will archive, right? So it means we will create a zip. So in Linux also we need to do not like just any files. We will do it for the logs. Why we need to do that? We need to preserve those logs for later use, right? So that logs will save you. Let's say if there is a major issue and that has been happening for quite some time, you can refer the previous logs and kind of conclude when it was happening, and that is what called as RCA. Let's say that the root cause you need to analyze and make sure that is not happening in future, right? So that's the reason you will have an archive of too many logs will be there in archive. Okay, and again, the manipulation of files, directories, those things, create, delete, copy, what is links, and the permissions. This is an important section because in Windows, we never care about permissions, but in Linux, permissions are too important. Again, in Windows Server, it is an important one, but as a Windows end user like Windows Home or Pro, we don't use that, right? So, yeah. And these are all the basic concepts. We will go through those one by one. And it is an important topic. Okay, so like how to access it remotely. Because that server won't be in, let's say, in India or in your place or something, your wherever your company is located. The server will be located in some cold countries like Canada or anywhere. Again, it's not only like cold countries, but like that's what any where the data center is there. That's what like lot of servers will be there, and that's what like you will access it remotely. Even if it is in India, also you cannot go there and access, right? You'll be accessing it remotely. How it works? How what is SSH? How it works, right? So because these are all the things which no one explains in your company. You will just do SSH in your company. There is no time for them to explain, right? So we will see the small nuances of how the SSH package is fetched and what is going in the back end, right? So everything we'll discuss detailed way through the key-based authentication. We'll see that. So again, key-based we'll be seeing in the security, but using SSH only we'll do that, right? So that's the okay. And what is server patching and how important it is, right? So basically, what is a patching? To fix a bug, we will do an update of a feature update or a security update. It doesn't matter. So you must update it like we do in our Android phone or any OS. You must have an update to fix few features, right? So that's the patching, right? So you need to understand how the patching works in an enterprise. Right? So it's not like just an click and update button into it should be to update. That is few process need to be you need to understand that, and then only it will be executed. Okay, so that's the thing. And the basic system admin activities, and so like these are all the things which we will do tomorrow. Okay, so how to uh, like what are all the booting procedures, right? So what if you interrupt a boot, what happens, right? So that's what like we will discuss these, and how to identify the CPU process. Like again, everything is a process, but which one is consuming a lot of CPU and how to kill it, right? So yeah, which consumes a lot of resources, how to acknowledge it, and what is logs, right? So as I mentioned, understanding a log itself is a skill. Okay, so we will discuss that, and again, what are all the different types? Like just for logs, we'll have one such session. Okay, so and system diagnostics. So how to diagnose based on the log. Let's say there is an error, the log, how you will diagnose that error. Okay, so like that, few errors you will see as an example, and start, stop, check the status, right? So for any service, okay, and how to securely this is a basic one, like transferring your files from your Windows to Linux and vice versa. And not only Linux, Linux to Linux also you can transfer. Okay, so that's fine. And this is the disk management. There is a concept called as LVM, which is logical volume management. And an important topic, as I mentioned, we will discuss again how to create, remove, and here it is called as physical volume. Okay, so that's the terminology. And how to create that. What is logical volumes? And this LVM is a concept. It's very interesting, guys. Why? Because is it possible for you to combine this disk 0 and disk 1? Can someone mention in the chat? Did anyone try combining both? Let's say you have two disks in your Windows version. Is it possible for you to combine disk 0 and disk 1 using tool? Or natively, can you do that? No, no one can do that. It's so because it's not like as a feature itself, it is not there. Whereas in Linux, you can have a volume group, and you can combine not only two, like let's say thousands of disks also, you can combine, and you can create like n number of partitions, right? So basically, you can combine all the disks in your system, which is great, right? So because let's say this disk 0 is filled, this 1.8 TB of size is filled, what I should do in enterprise, I like in Windows means I need to copy it to somewhere. Again, it will be faster. Obviously, the copy, since the hard disk will be way high end. But the point I'm trying to make is that's a huge process, right? You need to copy it. Again, you need to extend it, or like you need to buy a new hard disk, and again, you need to transfer it back. So that's a multiple processes involved. Rather, what if you can extend it without losing a data? That is a great option, right? So that's what in Linux you'll do natively. Like there is no third-party softwares involved. In Windows also you can do this using some third-party softwares, but it is a long process and there might be a risk of losing your data. Okay, so while the software is processing, whereas here natively this LVM allows you to do that, which is great. And most companies prefer the Linux just because of this feature. Okay, so it is one of the most important feature. So yeah, as I mentioned, we'll have at least 2 to 3 sessions just for this because a lot of concepts are here. So we'll discuss. And there is a Stratis video, like advanced version of LVM. That is this one. And even in exam, you can expect you will have like at least 3 to 4 questions just for disk management. Okay. And I am almost done. Okay. So just stick for another 5 more minutes because we already exceeded time. So the securities, right? So in any operating system, security plays a vital part. So that basically defines. That's the reason companies or mainly in companies they have a lot of data. Firstly, they have a lot of clients' data. Let's say it is a service-based company. They hold a lot of clients' information also, right? They need to make sure security service should be at the best one. The solution should be the best one. So that's the reason. That is also one of the reason Linux is preferred because there is no there are hackers or the people who develop those hacking tools, but very less in Linux because they use Linux as a base for creating those tools. Okay, so mostly they won't attack where they create, right? So majorly Windows is prone for a lot of viruses. Like the major one is like a ransomware in the recent years, right? So like that, you might have never heard new. Obviously, there is an attack in Linux also. I'm not saying that no one attacks Linux or something, but Linux operating systems, but it is way minimal compared to Windows. Okay. So that's the one. And the firewall, what is a firewall and how does what is a service related to that? Those things we'll discuss. What is SC Linux? Security Enhanced Linux. It's basically a one more layer of protection to each and every file and then of any path. It will be there. Why it is protected? We will discuss that later. And again, the networking, as I told, the basic IP configuration, host name configuration, and the respective services related to networking. Everything we'll discuss. Okay. And lastly, we'll see containers also, guys. Okay, so there is a container service called as Podman, which is again, it's an open source, but still Red Hat has the major stake in that. And it is bundled with the OS itself. Okay, so we will see this and how it works, how to configure it, and it is also part of your exams question. Okay, and yeah, so that's the container. And lastly, we'll see VMware vSphere because that is the one which will be used in your work environment. Okay, so it's not this VM. This is the commercial use. Okay, so yeah, we will discuss VMware vSphere at the very end. Last session will be this one because yeah, and with that the syllabus is done. And the timing for our batch is from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And sometimes I might extend it till 9, at least 10 minutes. I might extend in some cases. And it is not a free course, guys. It is a paid one. And the course fees is around 4.7K or 57 USD dollars. Okay. And the duration is 4 weeks. Again, it is an approx one because it might increase based on your doubts but the 4 weeks of content is there, right? So at least 20 to 25 sessions it will be. So yeah. And as I mentioned, doubts are welcome. Okay, so you can ask a very basic doubt, and someone mentioned, okay, yeah, like Saddam, he's already an experienced man, so he can ask the doubts which is even like add values to your experience, right? So let's say if he asks doubts in his work environment, or based on his work environment, like that, everyone can learn from that, right? So like that, doubts are welcome. Anytime you can drop an email, right? So let's say after the sessions you're having doubt, you can drop an email. During the session, you can raise your hand and you can ask the doubts. Okay, so that's the thing. And like mostly it is based on the exam. Okay, so yeah, I can assure you once you're done with the batch, you can appear for this RHCSA exam, and it is an entry level exam. And the exam's cost is around 20K INR. Okay. And in USD, I'm not sure why, but it is increased, it seems. It is around 400 USD dollars. Okay. So, so in INR, it is 21, I guess, including the taxes and all. Tax itself is like 5K, I guess. Okay. So, no other choice, actually, we must pay that. But yeah, so 400 USD dollars for the exam. Okay. So, yeah. Let me unmute you, Vamshi. Yeah, hi, Vamshi. You are unmuted.
Yeah. Hi. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I'm new to this Linux. I
Uh-huh.
don't have any prior knowledge on this, but I have some exposure by watching some videos in YouTube like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, basics I know. So you mentioned that RHCSA, right? So
Mm, yeah.
their certifications can we able to complete after completion of this course. So
Yeah, yeah.
then
As I
what are the
mentioned,
steps
yeah, you
to
can.
come?
For sure.
Yeah. So what are the steps to follow to complete the certifications from the day one?
That's what, like, as I mentioned, we will discuss the, let's say I complete the networking topic. We will discuss the exams question on that, and we can even have a separate session for all the questions. Okay, so like that also you can at the last. You can go through all the questions and single session just for your reference. But since you are new to Linux, this exam is too important in your case, especially because you are like companies need to have some affirmation that you know something, right? So this certification
Yes.
plays a vital role in that, right? And you can
Yes.
do some other also, but this, as I mentioned, Red Hat is a very good certification. So many
So what are the
people's, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Like many people's career change based on this. This plays a vital role actually. So please do this certification. I will recommend this one over any other. Okay. And as I
okay?
mentioned, yeah, like there is no steps or something. So you obviously this link I will give access even now also. You
Okay.
can go through this link. This question paper and the answers is also here. You can go through
Okay.
this. But the point I'm trying to make is you need to understand and answer this. Right? So just like that, anyone can attend the exam. But what goes in the question or what is that question is about? Right? So that is an important one. It's not an
Okay.
MCQ, right? So you cannot, there is no fluke involved. If you know the concept, you will answer it, right? So that's the thing. So
So
obviously, after
what?
our course, you can attend the exam.
So it's like a admin kind Linux admin job roles can we apply
Yes,
after?
yeah. Obviously, okay, that's a good point you brought up. So what are all the roles which is applicable once you're done with the batch, right? So the first one is obviously system administrator. Like again, let's say this is for the people like in your case, let's say you're a fresher or let's say at least 1 year of experience. So from fresher to 1 or 2 years of experience, you can apply to sysadmin. The next one is, let's say you're already an experienced in Linux or DevOps, let's say, you can apply for system engineer. So again, these roles doesn't matter. Okay, so in any company, the roles basically change, but you can apply for that. And it's not only Linux you should know. So you should know Linux, Git, okay, and at least a basic in knowledge of Docker. It's not just Linux. And the experience for this one would be at least 2 years to 5 years. Okay, so they expect that, and even I'm giving a very less. Yeah, so for even like sorry, 5 years is high, so even 4 years they expect these knowledges. Okay, and for the next one would be, let's say you're already 5+ years of experience, then you can try it for DevOps engineer. And everywhere Linux is an important one, right? So this is more or less 5 years plus. Here you need to at least have an advanced knowledge of Linux and all the DevOps tools. Like literally like 70 plus tools are there. It's not like every tool you should know. In each phases of DevOps, you should know at least two tools. Okay, so let's say for containers, you should know Docker as well as Kubernetes, right? So like that, for each and every, let's say monitoring means you should know Zabbix as well as ELK stack, like that, because few companies will be using only Zabbix. And if they mention in job description as ELK, you can answer it, but like you should, they will have, sorry, they expect you to have advanced knowledge of ELK. So you should again prepare for that. So at least have two different monitoring tools knowledge in DevOps role. Okay, this is for the people who are 5+ years of experience. And you can even apply for one more role. It is the same experience candidates. So it is for platform engineering. What is that? Especially in banks. So even I work in a bank. Okay, so for that, there will be it's, like let me explain. So there will be a server, okay, or a huge array of servers. All these servers are under a platform. That platform you will be managing. Let's say this is some credit card, some tools. Okay, so some software. So this software you will be managing. Okay, so like that. And so many things will be under this, like a job scheduler or monitoring, right? So it is like not only in bank, like telecom, like major like any emerging companies, they will, or any MNC especially, they will have a platform engineer for sure. You can even apply for that. And let's say you're more than this one, so SRE role, right? So means site reliability engineer. So you need to make sure that you are, again, it's not like, okay, just the availability or whether the server is up or not. It's not like that basic. So you need to make sure the system is reliable, and you need to know a lot of automation. You will be doing a lot of scripting. Okay, so that is for SRE roles. And here also Linux is a common. So basically the common theme you will see is Linux is used. Okay. And there is even more roles, but mostly it will be like consultant role if you're like 8, 10+ years or even more than that. It will be most of a consultant and so. But the major thing is Linux is like almost everywhere. You must know Linux. Okay. So, but these are all the roles which is applicable for you once you're done with the batch. Okay. It's not like only Linux, as I mentioned. You need to know these tools also. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Shakti. Uh,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a question. I have not. I used to be in data warehousing, data analytics side.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I have. I had some Unix experience like a few years ago, or I would say several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is this like more like a server maintenance, or like like get like user commands, that kind of stuff too in this training?
Um, like it is almost everything we'll cover as an end user means, sorry, as in your enterprise, what are all the issues we face? Again, from basics, we'll discuss Sakti. Okay, so like uh, like how to say, let's say there is a server reboot. What are all the steps we will take? From that till the basic one, like let's say a container is failing, right? So what we should do that, or if there is a hardware maintenance, right? So these are all the different things in terms of enterprise we'll discuss. Okay, and like a basic knowledge, uh, like as I told, this is an entry level course. So a basic one like how to use the CLI as an essential commands we'll discuss, like what is CD, what is cat, like that. So many commands are there, so we will discuss that also. So in your case, since you are already experienced, this will be like a revamp for you. And let's say you're planning for the exam, then it will be for sure recommended. Okay, so yeah.
Okay. They also say like in the Unix world, they used to say like we need to mount Oracle on Unix and all those stuff. Do you cover that kind of the
Yeah, yeah,
areas?
yeah. Obviously, yeah, mount. That's what like it all comes in the disk management. We will see a lot of things in the disk management. Obviously, mount,
Okay.
how to unmount, mount, how to extend an existing one, right? So everything we'll discuss. Don't worry. Yeah,
Okay. And I have a last question. Sorry, I
yeah,
have
yeah. No problem.
I think I don't know. We all have like a Windows laptop, the
Uh-huh.
home version. I
Okay.
never worked on VMware or something. Is it? I mean, do you need to
I
have
will provide you.
any special software to practice this?
No, I will provide it to you. And it's not only, thanks for bringing that up. So it's not only in VMware we'll be using. Let's say you are having a very basic laptop. Okay, so which is kind of old. Let's say 10 years old laptop you are using. So it will be very slow, right? So that's understandable. So we will be using AWS, or I'll be showing you how to install in a EC2 instance in AWS, or it's not only AWS, like GCP also you'll see. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
yeah, and there is no lab per se for our batch. So your system itself will be your lab if you're using VMware. But if it is a cloud AWS instance, again, AWS is offering a free account, right? That itself is more than enough for our course. Okay, so
Okay.
I will show
Okay.
you, don't worry. So in tomorrow's session, I will show you. So the installation files also I provided. So you have the OS and multiple ways to download the OS, and you have the
Oh.
installation instruction how to install the basic installation, right? So including VMware also I provided. So you don't worry about installation part. You'll see it thoroughly in tomorrow's session. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just keep this link handy. So please do attend tomorrow's session also. Okay. So yeah, tomorrow also will be the same Zoom link. So please join that and just see my way of training, and it will be uh, like practical, guys. So no other choice, right? So in Linux, everything you must know the concept as well as the practical knowledge. So that's what like just understand my way of approach. If you're fine with that, please do join the batch. Okay, so I will highly appreciate it. And this is like my 23rd batch, I guess, with Logic Labs. It's been almost 3 years. So you can trust me. Okay, so many students actually cleared the exam, especially RHCSA. And there is even RHCE, which is automation, but I don't cover that. Okay, so that is a separate course. I will introduce that course maybe later this year, but yeah. So RHCSA, don't worry, you can clear, and I will make sure you clear the exam. Okay. And the resume also I will go through, guys. So once you're done with the batch, okay, at last, not now itself, at last, once you're done, I will give a sample resume or I will review your resume. Either one we can do. Okay, so yeah. Okay, then. So thanks all. I'm really sorry for extending the session. So I had to no other choice to in order to cover all the at least the topics whichever we need to know. So in tomorrow's session, we will be discussing about the booting procedure, and that is an important one. Okay, so please do join. I will be very happy if everyone join. Okay, so yeah. Okay then. Thanks all. Have a great day. Let's see you tomorrow at the same time. Thanks all then. Bye bye.